In this video, I will show you a very amazing trap you can use against aggressive e4 players, and more than 1 million players have already fallen for this trap. So we're going to start off with e4 and we are going to play e5. So this trap happens in the most common opening, the e4 e5 opening. After white plays knight to f3, we're attacking our pawn, we defend it. And then the most popular opening for white is the Italian game, especially at the lower rating levels. And we are going to play a trap here to punish the Italian game. And in the Italian game, the main idea for white is to go for a really early attack here on this f7 pawn. So here, as black, we are going to set up a trap and we are going to play knight to f6. And with knight to f6, basically we are helping white in a way. We are helping white to go for this early attack. And that is the entire trap. So most players here, the most played move is to play knight to g5, which is still a decent move because of course white all of a sudden now has this double threat on this pawn on f7, and this is where we are going to start by playing some really sneaky moves to win from white. So we are going to play here basically the only move that will keep us alive, which is pawn to d5. So pawn to d5, our goal is to attack the bishop and to also block this diagonal for the bishop so that the bishop cannot capture here on f7, or at least it cannot support the knight. Basically the only playable move here for white is to capture with the pawn, which is 90% of games. And here you have to remember this really important move, which is knight to a5. And our trap will happen after we play knight to a5. So white has to make a choice here. White has to move the bishop. And of course the most played move here, also the best move by white, is to throw in this check. I mean, white has to move the bishop anyways, so why would they not throw in this check? And here we are going to play pawn to c6. So pawn to c6, we are blocking the check and we're also attacking the bishop. So again, white has to do something, and 99% of games, so almost always, white will of course capture here on c6. Because, well, that makes the most sense. They're already up a pawn and they are attacking here, so why would they not capture? And then we are going to recapture with our pawn as well. And this pawn is protected by the knight, so that is why white cannot just go ahead and capture here. And in this specific position, we have already set up the trap. And there are 4 different variations here, and it's really important to know all 4 of them, because your opponent might pick and choose between these moves, and you have to know what to do in every variation. So the most played line is bishop to a4, and this is actually the worst line for white. So if they play bishop to a4, we are going to continue with pawn to h6, basically forcing them to move back with this knight. Most likely they are going to play knight to f3. Then we are going to continue with pawn to e4. So we're going to attack the knight once more. And most players here will play either queen e2, or they might also play knight e5. They can also go back, which is also really terrible of course for white, because we can just go for a quick attack, for example bishop c5. Even if they try to remaneuver, we can go in with the knight, we can go in with the queen, we can threaten checkmate here, and basically white is already losing. So that's just to show you, moving back doesn't really help here by white either. So there are 2 main ideas here for white in this position. If they play knight to e5, which is the most played move, they're actually immediately losing, because there is queen d4, and queen d4 just attacks these 2 pieces at the same time. And white's just going to lose a piece, and lose a piece actually means losing the game as well, because it's going to be really hard to come back from this. From white, white doesn't have any development, black is doing fine, and black is up a piece. If they play queen to e2, which is a little bit more of a tricky approach, right? Because they try to pin this pawn to your king, so we can no longer capture this. Well, we also have a winning variation here, but it's a little bit longer. We're going to play bishop e6, basically because we want to unpin. So now this knight is attacked, so the knight still has to move, and then we are going to play this move queen to d4. And this is basically the same idea, it's just a little bit longer because you have to play bishop e6 first. And whenever you have a position like this, white might always try to just sacrifice something here if they want to, but you will also be able to pick up this remaining piece, because if you look at this, the knight actually has nowhere to go. So white can either sack the knight here if they want. They can also try to protect it. That doesn't really help because we can attack the queen. The queen has to move, and then we can pin this knight. and we are just winning material. So this is the first variation, but it's really important you also know the other variations as well. In this position, we took a look at bishop a4 first, which is the most played move, but it's not the best move. Now we're going to take a look at queen to f3, which is also a really popular try by white. Because white is basically saying, well, if you capture my bishop, I will take your rook. So that is white's threat. And we are just going to say, okay, fine. We're going to capture this bishop, and you can let them have this rook, because their queen is actually going to be in trouble really soon. We are going to play bishop to e7, and then it's white to move. White has to make a choice here. They can castle, I think you will see sometimes. Most likely they will probably just snatch an extra pawn with their queen, and that was actually a trap we set up. The best option probably for white is to just castle, and then everything is still pretty much equal, a little bit unbalanced, but most players will actually capture this free pawn with their queen, and this was a beautiful trap we have set up. Because now we have knight c6, and we are attacking the queen, and our goal is to win material here. So you can see we are attacking the queen, and the queen doesn't really have that many squares. It cannot go up the board here. All of that is covered. It cannot go here, here, or here. So pretty much you will almost always get them to play queen to e3, right? That's the only real move they have. And then we are going to play knight to d4, and we are just simply winning material on this line. Because here we are threatening to do this fork, and there's not much white can do. If they try to defend here, which is the most logical move, they are going to try and defend on c2. We're just going to play an amazing move here, bishop f5, attacking the queen, also with a Röntgen attack, also attacking this pawn. So the queen has to move, and then bam, we're taking here. White's going to lose castling rights, and we're going to win this rook, and black is just completely winning. So that is, against this f3 line, a really beautiful trap we can set up. Then they might also move this bishop somewhere else, right? I think probably the move you will see like the third most is probably bishop e2, sometimes also bishop d3, but that's a little bit awkward, right? Blocking your own pawn. So I think bishop e2 is probably the third most common option. Against this, we're just going to play h6, again, moving away the knight. We're going to play e4, moving away the knight. This is like the same idea always. We're going to play here bishop d6, also attacking this knight, forcing this knight to make yet another move. And you will realize that here the knight's a little bit stuck, right? Where is it going to go? It cannot really go here or here. It's going to be lost in every single square it goes to. So white's already a little bit in trouble. They probably have to play something like pawn to d4 if they want to hang on. Where you can take, they will have to take. And just look at how many moves this knight has already made, while we are basically just happy and developing all of our pieces. So we're going to castle queen c7. And there is no like amazing blowout immediately win trap here. But you can see that, well, black's just doing fine. We have pressure. We can in some variations jump in. We have the bishop lined up here. This knight's just going to go back into the game with c4 most likely. So black is just doing really well, but there's no immediate win. So as white, this is probably one of the possible defenses. But it's not that common for white to move back here. And then the next thing is, as I said, they can also kind of go here and block their own pawn. The engine actually likes this. I think from a human perspective, it's not something you are likely to play. If they play this, well, basically you can play your knight to d5, which is a beautiful discovered attack on this knight. So we don't have to play this h6 move. We can just centralize the knight and also attack this. White has to go back. I think most likely you will see them go here. They can also go here. Both of those are possible. And then you can just play f5. And the good thing is, if they go here and some variations, you might be able to do a fork here with your pawn as well. So I think probably you're going to get e4, knight e4, f5. The knight has to move yet again. And we are just going to move back. And this is a little bit of a maneuvering game, but you will see that black has a really gorgeous central control here. Actually, we are controlling so many squares in the center. And you are just going to get an easy game. For example, castles, bishop d6. And black's just really doing fine here. You can also castle in the future, develop this bishop. And you have a really beautiful central active pieces, so black is doing amazing. If you want to learn more about the Italian game, you should definitely check out this video next. I have an entire series on how to play the Italian game. That's it. As always, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.